Max loses his Christmas spirit because his family sucks, and inadvertently summons Krampus to terrorize his house. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Fatal Film, a horror movie watch-along video series where every 2 weeks I give you guys a horror movie, and we sit down and we talk about it. This week, we watched the Christmas horror movie Krampus. And stick around to the end of this video for next episode's movie. Fucking Krampus. I've never seen Krampus before. This is my first time watching it. I watched it last night. And, I had zero expectations going in. I didn't know anything about this movie. I've never even so much as seen a trailer. I went into this as fresh as humanly possible. I didn't know who was in the movie, so I was pleasantly surprised by the fact that I recognized a lot of the cast. But anyways, let's dive into it. You know, the movie starts off with basically essentially highlighting everything that's wrong with Christmas. See, it takes place in like a department store. It's almost like a Black Friday type scene with a bunch of like customers just like raiding this department store and getting into fights and fighting over stupid shit and racking up their credit cards. It's just pretty much highlighting everything that's wrong with Christmas, and that right there is the message of the movie. Basically, if you lose your Christmas spirit, if you lose sight of what the holidays are all about, then Krampus will come after your ass. So pretty much the entire rest of the movie takes place in this one house and focuses on this one family. There's like the one family that's like proper and who's hosting Christmas, and then there's like the other family, the relatives, you know, and they're just a bunch of assholes. Basically, the family starts fighting, and the cousins, they pick on the main kid, Max, and Max goes upstairs. He's got his little letter to Santa Claus, and he rips it up, and he's like, fuck all this shit, and he tosses his letter to Santa out the window, and it gets like sucked up into the air, and he inadvertently summons Krampus. So that's basically all you need to know about the plot of the movie. That's pretty much it. So Max wakes up the next morning. There's like this blizzard that came out of nowhere. They're completely snowed in. It's like minus like 20 or some shit outside. It's crazy cold. He opens the window and there's like weird like snowmen like facing the house. He didn't build those snowmen. It's like, who the fuck built these snowmen? What the fuck is going on? The power is out. The heat is off. There's no cellular network. There's no radio broadcast. There's nothing. They're basically completely isolated. All their neighbors are gone. And then, slowly but surely, they start getting terrorized by Krampus's minions. And Krampus's minions are cool, but I think my biggest gripe about it is like Krampus, your boy Krampus himself, he doesn't show up until like the very end of the movie. You get little teases and glimpses of your boy Krampus. You know, he's running on rooftops, he's jumping around, he's got hooves and all this kind of crazy shit. But you don't see his face till like, I would say like the last 10 minutes of the film. And I think that's one of my biggest gripes with the movie. The movie's called Krampus. Give me some fucking Krampus. So Krampus, he like sends his minions, and I'm talking like everything from like gingerbread men to like, you know, plush like teddy bears and like fucking elves, of course. Leads to some pretty good kind of like visual gags for sure. I think the gingerbread men were like, what the fuck? Kind of hilarious. And one of like the living dolls is like straight up nightmare fuel, ends up eating one of the kids whole, and probably what's the best visual gag of the entire movie. I was pleasantly surprised with the cast. Pretty much all of the adult actors in the movie I recognized. Obviously, it's led by your boy Adam Scott, but then also Toni Collette is in it. And let me tell you, Toni Collette, nobody plays an upset, distressed mother quite like Toni Collette. She's just got like this way of like contorting her face, and like she'll put on like a grin, but you can tell she's fucking dying on the inside. And she's fantastic. She's great in this movie. She's even better in Hereditary, but this movie review is not about Hereditary. And then rounding out the cast, you got David Koechner is in this movie. And then also the cop from season 1 of Fargo, she's in it. I believe her name is Allison Tolman, and she's great in Fargo. She's in this movie as well. She's quite a bit more likable than some of the other characters in the movie. And then fucking Berta from 2.5 Men is in this as well, playing like this bitchy ass, just terrible aunt. So I really liked the cast, I'm not gonna lie, and I had no idea that this is directed by the same guy who directed Trick or Treat, one of the best like Halloween horror anthology movies out there, probably the best, one of my personal favorites for sure. And also he's directing the new Godzilla movie next year as well. So he's like a horror guy, he's someone to watch out for. But anyways, Krampus, let's talk about this shit. So I think one of my biggest gripes with this movie is it's like the pacing. So I told you guys the setup in the beginning of this movie. I told you guys the setup in like, 20 seconds? But let me tell you, it takes a good amount of time to actually get there in the film. I would say the entire first half of this movie is nothing but setup. And setup can be fun, setup can be great. Last episode, we talked about Gremlins. Gremlins is kind of the same way. Like, the Gremlins don't fucking terrorize the town until like halfway through the movie. But at least the first half is actually fun and it's enjoyable. The setup in this movie is not fun. It's not enjoyable. It's just like, this family that comes and visits, right? The relatives, they're just so terrible. They're such awful fucking people. They're just the worst, and you really don't care when they die. It's like, fuck these people. I'm glad. Kill them off. Get them the fuck out of here, dude. Especially the children, you know? I know that's a terrible thing to say, but these kids are a bunch of little dipshits. Let me fucking tell you. It's like, I don't care if they're family or not. You know, if my family was fucking like this, I'd cut ties. I'm like, fuck it. Dude, this shit is not worth it. There's this one scene at the dinner table where one of the kids fucking like takes Max's like Christmas letter and starts like reading it and making fun of him and all this shit. And it's like, the parents are there. The parents are around. Both sets of parents. And it's like, why is no one stopping this little shit? This scene didn't make any sense to me because I'm just like, it was like stressing me out. I'm just like, someone stop this little bitch from reading this fucking letter. And sure enough, this was like the final straw with Max, aka MaxiPad, who ends up then ripping up his Christmas letter, kind of dismissing Christmas forever and the holiday spirit and all that shit. And that's like the final straw. That's what summons Krampus. So yes, I think the pacing is off. It does take a little bit too long to kind of get where we need to be with like Krampus and his minions kind of terrorizing the family. But once they get there, I'm glad that they don't hold back with the stupidness of the entire premise of this movie. You know, they got fucking gingerbread men shooting David Koechner with a fucking nail gun. Like, it doesn't make any sense. It's stupid as hell. There's like a teddy bear monster. There's like a fucking transformer monster. It's like, this is stupid. We know it's stupid. Let's not hold back on the fucking stupidity. So they didn't hold back on that shit, which is great. But what they did hold back on was the death scenes. And I was kind of like sitting down, I was thinking about it, I was coming up with my notes, and I was kind of recollecting on this movie from last night, and I'm just like, wait a second, was every single death scene in this movie off screen? It was. Every fucking death scene in this movie was like a cutaway, it was like off screen, you don't see shit. Sure, you see the girl's like feet sticking out of the doll's mouth when she's getting eaten whole, but it's like, that's it. They cut away. They pull the fat kid up the fucking chimney. They pull Berta through the goddamn window. They cut away when the girl's underneath the truck. Every single death scene in this movie is off screen. It's a cutaway. I don't know if this is just like a downside of, you know, it's just a PG-13 horror movie. It's like, what do you expect? But I feel like I've seen PG-13 horror movies where they still show you some death scenes. They still show you, they give you a little bit of something. But this is just like, it's too much or too little. It's like, what's the point of doing death scenes in a fucking Krampus horror Christmas movie if you're just gonna go halfway? Do it! Finish the fucking job! Now, there are some fun moments in this movie, especially near the very end. Whenever Krampus is on screen. That's why I'm saying, man, I wish there was more Krampus. Because every time he was there, it was fun. It was awesome. There's one scene, you know, at the very end with, like, Max. And, you know, he's kind of playing with dropping his cousin into this, like, fire pit. Or down into hell, or whatever that shit is supposed to be. And Max is just like, no, take me instead. You know, he's trying to open Krampus's eyes. You know, he's still got that Christmas spirit. And Krampus, it almost looks like he has a moment. Almost looks like he has a little bit of a change of heart. But then he's like, nah, fuck that. He drops both of them in. Yes, Krampus for the fucking win. Let's go. I love whenever Krampus is on screen, man. And his face, his goddamn face. He's got like this blank fucking face with his mouth always open. Like, you see his silhouette through a lot of the movie, but you don't really see his face until like the last few minutes. And he's scary as hell, dude. He actually looks like Santa Claus, just like fucking dilapidated. And then of course, Max wakes up Christmas morning. It was all just a dream. It was all just a dream. Krampus is not real. Krampus doesn't exist. That shit, it was all just a bad nightmare. Until they start opening presents, everything is just perfect. It's just a perfect Christmas morning. He opens his gift, and it's that little fucking, whatever, the bell thing or whatever the hell that shit was, that Krampus kind of left behind. And then he's looking at it, and everyone just kind of starts looking at each other, and you can tell it's all coming back to them. It's all coming back to them, and they're all just having a moment, and they realize, oh shit, this happened. All this shit straight up happened. And then zoom out, They're all in a fucking snow globe? What? Krampus, you son of a bitch. You got me again. So I don't know, is that like the Krampus thing, or are they just gonna like relive Christmas morning over and over and over? Are they aware of that? Or do they have their memories wiped every night? Or like what? I don't know. It's best not to think about it too much. Anyways, that is it for my review of Krampus. And out of 10, what do I give this? I give this like a 6.5 out of 10. Has a lot of pacing issues. You know, the entire first half of the movie, it's all build up for not enough payoff. You know, you don't need violence and death scenes to have a great horror movie, but I feel like it would have really helped Krampus quite a bit. Anyways, for next episode of Fatal Film, it's going to be after Christmas. I guess the way the schedule only works, we only get time for really 2 Christmas horror movies, and then it's after Christmas, and it's also right before New Year's, so I was looking around for like New Year's themed horror movies. Not very many, but I did find one. It's called Terror Train. We're watching Terror Train from 1980, starring Jamie Lee Curtis, the Scream Queen herself. It might suck. It might be terrible. I've never even heard of this movie until I was trying to search like New Year's themed horror movies. So that's what this series is all about. It's about discovering new horror movies. It's about watching the good and the bad and the unknown. And this definitely falls into the unknown category, for me anyways. But thank you so much for watching. Happy holidays. And I'll see you next time. Merry Christmas!